Yo, what's good? What's good? It's your man, 100 Grand, Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Today, I want to talk about a really important aspect of basketball, of the NBA game, just in general. It's one of my favorite aspects of it, but it's the NBA draft. In this draft, I'm gonna be honest, it's not a great draft. It's what they consider top heavy. But one of the things that I always kind of get frustrated with about the draft is just the whole process. Now, the NBA instituted the draft in order to bring some what they call parity to the NBA, meaning that they give teams who otherwise don't always have the most talent and opportunity to improve in a short amount of time so that they can be able to compete with the better teams. But unfortunately, the process that they've created for the longest amount of time really hasn't been not just effective, but it's also incentivized losing. It's incentivized teams who have not gotten their act together as an organization, as a coaching staff. They haven't been able to be consistent. They haven't been able to create a culture, a team identity, so on and so forth. But somehow they keep getting the top picks. Now, you can look specifically at teams like the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have had countless number one picks in the draft and are barely now knocking on the playoff door after so many years. But then you can look at other teams who continue to get high draft picks and continue to just struggle, just in general, with figuring out how to win. And a lot of times, when you really look at it, it's not because the information is not out there on how to win. You look at franchises like the Milwaukee Bucks, the Toronto Raptors. You look at franchises that have figured out how to win and create a culture of consistent winning and competitive outlook as a team for decades. And one of those franchises is the San Antonio Spurs. And so in this video, I want to be talking about how the San Antonio Spurs deserve the number one pick in the draft. Hands down. If you like this video, smash that like button for me, hit subscribe, the bell for notifications, and we can definitely talk some more on Twitter at Rock Never Stops too. In this draft, look, I'm gonna be real with you. It's like I said before, it's top heavy, but it's a little less even top heavy. It really is kind of a 2 or 3 player race, just from my perspective. And what I mean by 2 or 3 player race, I mean the draft pick that you're going to get has the potential to become a multiple time All Star. A multiple time All Star. Now, there's always the random picks later in the draft that you never saw that they might become this good. But for the most part, you can see clearly who are the best players, who have the greatest opportunity of being that level of a talent. Now, I don't think any of these guys, I'm going to be honest, in this whole draft have the opportunity to be a transcendent talent. The Joel Embiid's, the LeBron Jameses, the Luka Doncic, none of them. But there's a few guys who have the potential to be at least all-star level players. And those main guys are Jaden Ivey, Paolo Banchero, and Jabari Smith. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to focus on Jabari Smith and Paolo Banchero. The reason why is because the San Antonio Spurs have a gluttony of talented guards and wings. From Dejounte Murray, Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, Lonnie Walker. They've got more than enough guys who are able to play at a high level in that guard backcourt. Not to even leave out Joshua Primo, right, who they just drafted in last year's draft, who, if he had stayed in Alabama one more year, he might have been a lottery pick for this draft as well. But it's to say that what they need is what Paolo Banchero and Jabari Smith offer. They need a versatile forward who can dominate on the interior and exterior, who can offer that offensive, athletic versatility that can be a difference maker in this team's attempt to elevate themselves and to get back to playoff contention with regularity. When you look at the San Antonio Spurs team, you start off with their all-star this year, Dejounte Murray, who's having a fantastic year. When you watched him first come into the league, he was a really thin-framed player known for his offense, primarily for his offense. Coming out of the University of Washington, he was a scorer, but very slight build. And you couldn't necessarily see the level of impact that he's making today, but San Antonio did. Greg Popovich did. They were able to get through to this young man that you're going to make your mark on the defensive end using your fantastic length at only 6'5" and your quickness and agility to just terrorize other guards in the backcourt. And that's exactly what he's done. And as he's become this elite defensive player, it's given him more and more space to develop his offense. And today, he's an all-star. Jakob Poeltl, their center, the man in the middle, who's having another fantastic year, who was drafted by the Toronto Raptors, do a great job of development, and they saw the value in him when they gave up DeMar DeRozan. When they traded for DeMar DeRozan to give up Kawhi Leonard. They got him back in this draft, in that trade, and they were like, yo, this is somebody that we can build around. It shows a great eye for talent, a great eye for understanding who fits your system and your culture and your team identity. And Jakob Poeltl has continued to progress every single season he's been with the Spurs. When we go through this roster, what we see is that the San Antonio Spurs have a very clear outlook on who they are. They have a very clear outlook on the types of players that they want in their system. You look at Trey Jones, the younger brother of Tyus Jones, who went to Duke University. Both of them played for Duke. You see him coming on more and more to where he's able to have the type of effect that his brother is having in Memphis, where when he gets on the court, your team does not skip a beat. Not only does it not skip a beat, but that means that he's able to allow your team to perform at a winning level every minute that he's out there. He is a plus to your team's advantage every single time, whether it's scoring, whether it's on defense. He runs your offense. He gets guys organized. He knows where they're supposed to be. He's your floor general, and he gets the job done. As you continue to look through this roster, you really realize that what they have understood is that if they are going to build sustainability, they're going to have to be committed to who they are. And that's exactly the type of space for any young prospect to thrive in. You look at Joshua Primo, last year's first pick, the Canadian brother who went to the University of Alabama, who played with Herb Jones, had a great year. But the San Antonio Spurs saw something special in him. He wasn't necessarily this big prospect coming into the draft. But as the draft process went on, you began to hear rumblings about this young man. And the Spurs saw something to say, you know what, we want him. We see something in him that we are going to help cultivate and bring out. Now, he hasn't torn up the league in his rookie season. He didn't even make the rookie sophomore all-star game. But you see over the last couple of weeks, he's beginning to really emerge. He's beginning to really show what he can do. And you're beginning to see that terrific shot making, that confidence, that skill, that nose for the basket that is so hard to come by in the NBA, that most of the time you have to overpay for somebody to come to your small market franchise. Shoot, they've even resurrected the career of one Zach Collins, who was a high recruit coming out of the University of Gonzaga, got drafted a lot on his potential that everybody saw, but almost kind of like an Anthony Davis type where he just wasn't ready physically. And so spent a lot of time early in his career dealing with injuries. But once again, San Antonio Spurs say, you know what? We can work with that. We can work with that. And now he's beginning to turn it on. All this is to say is that this is who deserves the number one pick. If they don't make this playoffs, the NBA needs to figure it out. Look, I know we want to make sure we don't cheat and all that stuff. Look, let's make this league what it's supposed to be. Rewarding the teams who are doing it right. who are doing a good job, who set themselves up for success, who know how to build consistency and a winning culture. And that's what the Spurs are. Last time they got a top pick, what'd they do? They went on for the next 20 some odd years and never missed the playoffs with Tim Duncan. Now, I'm not saying either of these guys are Tim Duncan at all. But if there's a team out there that can get the most out of them, if there's a team out there that can use them so that they can begin to get back to winning and make the most of their career, it's San Antonio. It's San Antonio. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you want the Spurs to get the number 1 pick in this year's draft? What do you think the outlook is for these two young men if they were to go to San Antonio? Holla at me on Twitter at RockNeverStops2 and in the comments section. You know I definitely reply. I'm going to holla at y'all next time. I enjoyed this video, y'all. Peace.